Oh, all right, ladies and gentlemen. As promised, I'm live. Hope people gonna get on here. We're gonna talk some live scope. I know you usually don't get on here Monday night, but this is a special occasion, so let's hope some folks jump on here. And I know everybody's used to me being on here on Thursday, so y'all give me some comments and make sure you can hear me. I got a few people on here. I appreciate them couple turning in. How's everybody doing tonight? I know y'all got some questions, and we don't get to go into detail about live scope. Hey, Chad Gillen, how you doing, buddy? We don't get to go into a lot of details about live scope on the the CrappieKast on Thursday, and this I just figured I'd do a little special show and hopefully get some question answers. I'm gonna share a picture of my settings and my numbers on there also. So the CrappieKast is a sharing podcast, and that's what I created it for. And John and I, and he's got a birthday party to be at, him and Jessica, so it's just gonna be me. So you're gonna have to listen to me. Oh, Holden said he got his hat. You're welcome, buddy. I'm glad you got your hat. Holden won the CrappieKast hat. I sent him one of these Bottomland hats. Chad said it's not Thursday. You ain't kidding. It's not Thursday. There's Mr. Car Newbie. How's things in Rome there, buddy? We got a few people tuned in. I'm glad. There's 15 on here. So we'll give it a few minutes and we'll go to some details, and y'all be thinking it's a question. We can talk about whatever, but mainly I just wanted to open the topic up of live scope because there's a lot of people, got some questions about it and unsure about stuff. And if they got their settings right or have a lot of trouble finding their jig, I just want to try to help as many people as I can catch some fish. Let's see what Holden's saying. He said he'd been smoking the fish here in Louisiana, but he's fairly new to fishing for crappie. But what about it at night? My picture is fuzzy, close to dark. I want to try to night fishing with live scope. Holden, if you go in there and hit the power button, there's some nighttime colors on your live scope. If you hit the power button, Holden, you'll scroll down and say day and night colors. That nighttime color help you out a lot. It tones it down a little bit, and you turn your gain down a little bit. You just got to play with your gain and put it on those night colors, Holden, and probably go catch just as many, especially with a full moon like it is now. I would just put it on those night colors and see if I could get it adjusted, buddy. But Holden was saying that, it's fuzzy at night, and sometimes it automatically does it. But yeah, Holden, there's a night color button on your live scope, believe it or not. I've been fooling with those things for a while, and sometimes it's hard for me to go through this, if let's say you FaceTime me or something gets, you get messed up on your settings or something. But, man, we got 24 people on here. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. Yeah, there's nighttime colors on your live scope, Holden. Let's see what Chad's saying. He said he's been struggling lately. May is usually one of my best months. They've been lockjaw for me. I think this full moon and that weird spawn we had, Chad, probably. But I talked to John today, and around his house, he said fish are starting to get on some brush. So hopefully they're fixing to get right where I like to catch them, and that's on brush on secondary cover. So, but hopefully they'll start acting right for us. They've been aggravating. I went Saturday, Chad, to Miller's Ferry, and I had to cover a lot of water to keep the fish that Keith and Will and I kept. I had to cover some water. We kept some fish and caught some fish and had a good time. So that's basically what my goal is, to teach somebody something that I know and try to share some information when they book a trip with me. Make sure I hadn't missed anybody's questions. Oh, we got 28 people, man. Y'all making me happy. Still Bill Valentine. I'm about to talk myself into this live scope. Bill, I'll be straight frank with you, man. If you can buy a 12-inch screen, a 12-22, that's what I do. I started out with a 9, then I bought a 10, then I bought a 12, and that's what I'm running. If you can afford it, buy a 12-inch screen. A 12-22 is a manual dial. You've got a 126 SV, which is a touch screen. I don't like the touch screen myself because I smear it up, but if I could afford an 8600 series, a 8612, 8616 bill, I would definitely, but at least try a 12-inch screen bill. A 1222, the bundle, is a great bundle. If you have any questions, you're free to message me, man. I'll try to help you out. I sure will. What's Sunny Moon asking me here? Is there a 0-degree mount for the LVS 34? Yeah, the mount's the same, buddy. There's a 0-degree mount for it. I still run a perspective mount, and I actually put some rubber in it to make it 0 degrees. The reason why they put that 8 degrees in that transducer is when you click it on down scan, where it can look around the foot of the trolling motor. I don't use down scan. I don't fish deep enough to use down scan, to be honest with you, Sonny. But they've had that 8 degrees. That transducer's on that shaft, like 8 degrees, and you got your foot of your trolling motor. When you click it down, it's got to look around it. But I put some rubber in mine to get mine more vertical with the shaft. I put some rubber in it, but they make 0-degree mounts. They sure do. That's what Car, that's a good point, buddy. He said he's telling you, Bill, if depending if the map is needing, the 122 SV is also a good option. If you need the maps up front where you can mark and go back to your live scope and go back and forth in your maps, I bought a little Helix 9-inch screen and put it up front to run my maps where I can mark open water and stuff that's way away from the bank. So, but yeah, that's a good option, Car. That sure is. How much do they cost? Toro wants to know how much a 12. Let me look at how much a 1222 bundle is. We got time to look it up. Let's look it up. I don't know what they're going for. I'll tell you right here in just a second. I'm looking it up right now. That's what we're on here for, is to answer some questions. Let's see. There's a bundle. It looks like My Green Outdoors has got it for $3,000. That's a unit. Y'all can see it. I don't know if you can see it. It's bright. Right there, that's $3,000 on My Green Outdoors. The whole system, it says $29.99. That's the LVS 34 system and the 1222. Now, you're going to spend some money in it now. Don't get me wrong, but I'll be honest with you, once you buy that unit and you get to catching fish with it and get it tuned in, man, you're not thinking about, how much that thing costs. It's a lot of money. Don't think it isn't, but you can buy a 9-inch scream a lot cheaper. Don't get me wrong. And then you can buy a 10 inch is fine. I ran a 1022 for about a year and a half, but let's see. David's asking me, please load the video on your page when it's over. It's cloudy, so the internet is dragging. Now look, Dave, it's going to be on my page, man. Shane Jones Fishing. When I end this broadcast, it's going to be on there, buddy. It's going to be on there for sure. Let's see. Eric Sellers, what you telling me here? I seen where you posted some fish. We found some fish last week in the Malpas, 8-12 foot of water on stumps and brush. We kept 28. That's awesome, Eric. I'm headed down there later on this week. Hope they're in the right place. I haven't been down there in a couple months, and they owe me because it's been flooded all winter down there in the Malpas. Let's see him. Terry Crump. What's he saying? Explain secondary cover. All right, secondary cover, in my opinion, is any stump, brush pile, ledge. It could be natural stumps, natural brush piles, or somebody's put something in away from the bank, Terry. So I call that secondary cover. Those fish stage up on that secondary cover as they're going to the bank to spawn, then they come back to it. So you're 10, 12 foot of water, that's secondary cover. You know what a secondary point is when you got a main point of a river and there's a point inside there. That's a secondary point. So secondary cover is anything off the bank. It necessarily doesn't have to be 10 or 12 foot of water, but it is it's off the bank. That's what I consider secondary cover, man. So take your side scan and look for root balls or stumps and look for fish. Right now, you're liable to find a bunch of fish in that secondary cover, man. I know John and them fish a tournament down at Mitchell, and they found a lot of fish on the main river. The main lake. So let's see what Holden's saying. I'm gonna make sure I'm missing. Let's see. Andy's got a good question. Say I wanted to link my waypoints to my console, front and console. Can I use my regular Ethernet cable to do so? That's what it is, Andy. Make sure you got a long enough one to run from your console to up to the front and link them together. And what's cool, somebody sitting in the back can see your live scope when you link them together. John's running 2 live scopes on his. He's running an 8612 and he's running a 1222 for Jessica up front. So, yeah, that Ethernet cable, it does it. As long as you got a long enough one to link them up, Andy. Let's see. Oh, Terry, yeah. Lake Martin's full of a lot of small fish. He's saying he found some on Lake Martin. There's some big ones. You just got to find the right brush piles, Terry, for sure. Look, guys, I'm going to share this. I'm a sharing person, and y'all know this. Look right here. Right there. That's all the settings I use. There's my phone number right there. I don't see anybody doing on podcasts like this, but there's my phone number. Y'all can screenshot it, whatever. I don't care. That's my settings. What I'm going, that TVG is off. The ghost rejects off. The noise rejects on high. The color limit's off or on default. Same thing. Color gains on 85. Some people run it on 90. The focus, which is in the installation, it's 145. The gains on 68 to 75. Depends on how much, silt you got in the water or whatever, but I run it as high as I could. To me, it looks like it's snowing on mine, and I like it because I get I can see my line, I can see my jig well, but that is the settings, guys, right there. That's what I'm using. You can screenshot it, watch the video. Like I said, ask me. That is it right there. That is what I run on mine. That's what I set up on people's units. So y'all get it live right here for sure. And I'll put it back on there for the show's over with. I promise you. Let's see. Sonny wants to know the difference in the 8600 series and the 12 series units. The 8600 series got a real fast processor. It's kind of like TV, Sonny. You can spend as much money as you want on the TVs to get the 4K and all that stuff. You can spend as much money. 8600, it's the Cadillac, Sonny. It's an 8612, 8616. But your 12 series is 1222, is a 122 to 126. That's a 12-inch screen. 8612 is a 12-inch screen, but the 8600 series it's got a faster processor and shows it's pretty clear. But do you have to have it? No, I don't have one. I'd like to have one, but I think they run about $5,000, Sonny. So they're expensive. Let's see. Bill wants to know, with LiveScope, can you identify fish from? Oh, yes, sir. You can identify all types of fish, Bill. Spoonbills, carp, brim, bait fish, shad. Without sounding like a smart butt, Bill, when I first started throwing, I was throwing at everything that moved, thought it was a crappie, and that's not the case. Crappie they don't swim a lot. If you see a fish's tail, 99% of the time, it's not a crappie. Crappie flap twice and glide, because I've spooked them and caught them. But your carp, you're going to see their tail. Most crappie look like your thumb or your finger. They're just sitting there. And I wish I had a video I'd share on here. I need to start getting a little more technical savvy where I can sell. But the crappie looks just like it's a round. They're tall as they are long, and they're round. And they're not moving real fast in the water column. But you will identify a lot of different fish. And you're going to see a ton of fish, Bill, when you light that thing up. And don't get frustrated till you start catching them. Then you'll identify a crappie. I mean, without sounding like a smart butt, you throw in there and catch the fish, you're going to know it. You'll know what that crappie looks like, and you're going to know what they look like on the screen, and then you can go hunt you some crappie. Holden's asking me, you can link 2 9-inch screens, buddy, especially if they're 2 echo maps. You can link two 9s for sure, as long as you got the Ethernet cable. Some guys were asking me something else. Let's see. Let's see what Corey's asking me. Color limit and ghost is the only real difference in yours to mine. What do you run with both of them off? What is the focus? Corey, I'm gonna tell you what the focus is. Everybody's used a streamlight, where the old streamlights where you focus the beam. I noticed on my bottom was broke up, kind of staggered like this. And if you look at a brush pile, the fish were real bright on one side of the brush pile, and you can see good, and the other side there wasn't. So it takes that beam, that 20-degree beam, and it focuses it more. So get on your screen. You can call me later, and I'll help you walk out there later on, and we'll try to find your focus and get it set on. It goes at 300. 145 is a pretty good number to start with, but that really dials that focus, that beam in, your live scope beam. It dials it in. A lot of people don't know about focus, but it helps out tremendously, man. When you get that focus set, and that's the tip for tonight. Let's see what else I was going to share. I was going to share something else. Oh, this right here, guys. That's the different position for your live scope. A guy, he messaged me earlier asking me about how far above your foot of your trolling motor. It's 6 to 8 inches, guys. That's the different, starboard and port side mounting, forward mode, down scan mode. It shows you all that. I run mine in forward 100% of the time, but it'll be on the show here too, and you'll be able to go back and look at it. But let's see. What's Todd at? Is it safe to run the EchoMat 126V in the black box on the same DeWalt 1220? I've heard of people doing it, Tad. I know people that run one for their black box and one for the unit. That way it doesn't drop as fast, because that thing pulls some power. You get two hookups. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the word, but get you two places where the batteries can connect. But I would run 2 batteries if I was you. That way you don't run out of power that quick. But I know people that they make the dadgum holders, the battery holders. I can't remember off the top of my head, excuse me. But I would run 2 batteries, Tad, because if you don't, man, that 20-volt battery, if you run the black box and the unit, it's going to go down quick, man. Yeah, Chad, this is a great comment. He's saying the music makers, also known as drum, fool me a lot. Crappie and drum hang out a ton, because crappie know that drum are not going to eat them, and they hang out a lot, and there'll be a lot in brush piles. You got to weed through them. But hey, I've caught a ton of big crappie that I thought were carp and drum and whatnot. So I pitch on them anyway. It's great practice, especially if you're teaching somebody to walk their jig down to the fish and take it away from them. I play with them. So Brian Taylor, can you target big cats with live scope? Yes, you can, Brian. I've been wanting to get in the boat with you, Brian, and we can go look at some big catfish. I see some, and you know where they are, and I can show you the distance. I know catfish don't sit still. They're roaming and zooming around. They don't just sit still. They're moving around a lot, and they're real spooky, to believe it or not. Catfish are. They move around pretty quick. But yeah, I'd like to show you some. Like I said, you can jump in the boat with me, Brian, and we'll go places where you catch those catfish, and we'll go try to look at them and see what they look like. Let's see, Bud. Explain the difference between in a black box and a unit. Bud, the black box is basically the brain of the live scope system. It is a black box, looks like an amp, like a radio. It's the processor, so it takes the information from the transducer, runs through that box, and processes it and puts it on the screen. But that's what the black box is. You got to run power to the black box, and then the transducer comes to the black box, and then you got to run power to the unit. So that's why they run a lot of 8-gauge wire up there, Bud, to keep the voltage from dropping to your black box, because you don't want the voltage to drop. You want full power to that thing. So it's best to run at least 8-gauge wire up to it, in my opinion. That's what I've done with mine. I don't have any trouble at all. Let's see. Hopefully I ain't missing nobody. We got 36 people on here. I'll take it. I know y'all got some more questions for me. Let's see. Cornell Boyd. I'm throwing a 2-inch bobber guard and see it pretty good within 10 feet, but I struggle finding it 25 foot out. Should I use a split shot? Cornell, no. I'll be honest with you. Those settings that I posted right here, buddy, you put those settings right there in your unit. I don't care if you got a 910, 8600 series. That's going to help you. I see my line on mine. And you got to make sure everything, you're in the center of that beam, but you put those settings in, I promise you'll see your jig. A lot of people have their settings off, and I'll be honest with you, I was that guy. And I'm lucky to have a lot of great friends, and I figured a lot of stuff out on my own and asked them a bunch of questions. But Cornell, you put that in there, and I promise you'll see your jig. And start out 10, pitching out until it's like shooting skeet till you get where 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, where that beam is pointed. But you put those settings in, I promise you'll see your jig further than 10 foot. Let's see. There you go, Holden. Holden said he ordered some bait from Steve. Look at here. Limits tackle. I got mine in. I just got these baits in from Steve. We done a show last Thursday with Steve for Limits Tackle. You think that ain't a good looking bait? And man, that's so tough, man. Limits Tackle. Steve Gonsalves. I hope I said his name right that time. It's a split tail. I like that. That's a 2-inch bait. Got some little 1.5 inches too. When these fry get born after this shad spawn, I'm gonna be throwing that smaller bait. So let's see here. Bud Williamson running all the electronics on today's boats. Do you recommend lithium batteries? I do, but lead batteries now, I don't care if you buy top of the line, they don't last 2 years, man. So I try to urge people to buy at least a cranking battery and run your electronics on it. At least 100 amp, 125 amp hour battery. They got 11-year warranty, and it does stink to have to buy that battery that's $600-700 or whatever. But I'm running Ionic batteries. I bought them myself. I'm not sponsored by them, but all mine are lithiums. I can fish 2 days on my trolling batteries, and all 3 batteries weigh 58 pounds. A lot of weight difference, and a lot of power. But the lead batteries, man, I just don't have a lot of luck on them. I don't think they build them as well as they used to. But yeah, I would buy lithium if I could afford it. I mean, that's got a lot to do with people's decision. It's a lot of money. But if you could save up and get you one, I would definitely go. Let's see. Terrell's asking me, is it hard to install myself or should I let a pro? Terrell, it depends. If you can get around on your boat well enough, it's not real hard to run. Fish tape, I got one laying on the bottom of the floor right here. A fish tape and some electrical tape. And what I done, Toro, I pulled those 8-gauge wires up to like a rod box or a storage locker, and I mounted 2 lugs, which is the lugs got bolts and nuts on them. I ran my power there, and I pulled all my power off those lugs. Put me a breaker in the back. You're welcome to message me and call me, and I'll help you. It's not rocket science, buddy. You don't have to pay anybody to do it, but unless you just absolutely want to. But it's not hard to run. If I can do it, anybody can. So I promise you that. I'm gonna put those settings up one more time. There they are, in case y'all didn't get to see it. That's the live scope settings that I run personally. Y'all watch me on Big Daddy's podcast. That's what I've got his turned on. And y'all hear him talk about how it's dialed in. But that's it right there. Let's see. What amp hour batteries are you using on your 24 bolt trolling motor? Tad, I'm using 250 amp hour. 250 amp hour Ionics, making 24 bolts. I have no trouble, man. I mean, my Garmin trolling motor can run 24 or 36, the way the motor's designed, but I haven't had any trouble. I can fish 2 days with mine. I like the lithium batteries. I mean, the power, it's on all of y'all ran tools that have lithium batteries, your drills and impacts and stuff. It's just, it's amazing lithium battery technology. I will say that. If you can afford it, man. Again, I've got a guy Andy Council from Drew Craft. I'm not sponsored by him, but he took care of me and saved me some money. So if you're thinking about buying some Ionic batteries, you can message me too. Bill Valentine. What's he saying? Chris Boyd will install. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know Chris. Excellent boat mechanic, and he will install your live scope. So that's somebody right there, right here close to $1 Million Lakes, right down here in Brookwood, Tuscaloosa area. Let's see, make sure I'm not missing any questions. I know y'all want to pick my brain a little more. Like I said, I appreciate all these people tuning in. There's 40 people on here. I appreciate y'all. Like I said, I posted my number, and Todd's asking me what pound thrust is your trolling motor. I've got I think on 24 volt Tad it's 80, and on 36 it's 112 or 8. I'm not sure, but my boat will go 4 mile an hour on 24 volt. You know, it'll move, so got plenty of power. I'm running that Garmin Force, and it was nice. It's a real nice trolling motor, but I think it's 80 on 24 volts. It's plenty for what I'm running. You know, I run an aluminum boat, a big War Eagle, so. Make sure I hadn't forgot anybody. I want to try to answer all these questions no more than we got here. We've been on here about 30 minutes, close to it. And I appreciate y'all tuning in. Yeah, that's Brian Taylor saying he was on his all day Saturday and he's still at 86%. That's what I'm saying. Lithium's the good thing about lithium batteries, they run wide open or have power till it's no power. They don't slowly ramp down like a lead acid battery in the cells. It actually drops down. It drops down, you know, like lead battery, it just drops down the whole time. Lithium's just, they fall out after you get to zero. I've got an app on my phone. It helps me keep up with them, just like Brian's. I'm sure he's got one on his. But again, hey, I'm sharing my settings right there. There's a live scope settings. I'm going to keep doing it. I don't mind sharing it off. Everybody that knows me, it is right there. And I'm not saying that's the only settings you need to use, but I have a lot of success using those right there. See a lot of fish, catch a lot of fish, see my jig fine. I've caught them out there 60, 70 feet in Florida. John will attest to that. When I got on his boat, he was getting on me for throwing so far at them, but they were crushing it. So we were catching them a few weeks ago. Let's see. Bill Clark Jr., right there, guys. He said he's available in Georgia to hook up live scope. There's your guy if you're in Georgia. There's a lot of good people out there that know what they're doing. It's been there, done that. And I say, if you're unsure about it, I say pay somebody. I mean, I'll be honest with you, if you're not mechanically inclined or don't have the wire or the know-how, or you don't want to drill holes in your boat, make sure you drill the right holes. But I appreciate you coming on there and saying that, Bill. He's available in Georgia. Let's make sure and see what we got right here. David Tatar. I hope I don't say that wrong. Tartar. I can't pronounce it. But anyway, Dave, how much do you think the full moon affects crappie? I fished this morning after the full moon, and fish wouldn't eat. Follow the boat, and that's it. Yeah. We were just talking about with Big Daddy, David. The full moon, man, I don't like fishing in a full moon at all. I mean, those fish feed all night, and they got a stomach ache all day. You just about got to force them to bite. That's what I ran into Saturday. It's just like hunting in a full moon. I mean, I don't like it because they've got a spotlight up there all night to feed on shad and be up all night, and they can see well, especially if the water's semi-cleared. But I do not like the full moon, David, myself. I'm waiting on it to get the heck out of here. Let me get those settings out of there. Let's see. Terry Crump, jigs are live bait. Terry, I use jigs. I mean, I'm a jig guy. My rod's right here. It's got a jig on it. That's a Timmy Tom's weedless head right there. I throw that. That's a monkey milk colored bait with I spray the tail chartreuse. I'm big on scents, man. I use a lot of garlic and shad scents till I start catching fish. And once it starts smelling like fish, I don't have to put near as much scent on there. But I use scent a lot. especially when the full moon, like we were just discussing. That's what old Keaton's talking about right here. Keaton's Standpiper. He said, I've heard that Garmin doesn't pull the power that Ultrex does. May not, Keaton. I don't know, man. I've ran my trolling motor pretty hard in stumps. You know, us chasing crappie. And, man, I'm telling you, I can fish 2 days. And I run it pretty hard. But I imagine if you had a real heavy boat, you know, a big Ranger or something. But Keaton, I've enjoyed I got a Garmin Force, and I've enjoyed it, you know. And I'm not saying Ultrexes are better or Garmin, but I've been on both of them, and I like my Garmin customer service is excellent, man. You call those guys and think they're kind of nerdy, and I called about my board when I got mine in. Mine didn't want to turn on; it would cut off. And when I called him, the guy was like, "Let me turn my trolling motor on." He had a trolling motor right there in his office, and I was like, "Are you kidding?" I mean, it was awesome, but I believe that, Keaton. Like I said, mine doesn't. It runs and it's super quiet because it's got a brushless motor. I know Ultrex is coming out with one, but it's an excellent trolling motor, and I used them. And you know, the only thing I could tell, you know, it's got a Bluetooth foot control, and I've been using mine for 6 months and hadn't changed the batteries yet. And I got some new batteries in the boat, but you're right, Keaton. I think so. Let's see. David Barnes. What color do you prefer on live scope? I like the amber, but got to where I couldn't see my jig. Had to change to green. David, I use the blue. And the only reason I guess my eyes see it well, that's the only thing I can tell you. You pick a color that you can pick up well with your eyes. It has nothing to do with me or anybody else. You put the right settings in, and man, pick the color that you like. You know, that's personal preference, but get the right settings in. Again, I'll share the settings with you right there, David. That's what I'm running. Like I said, it's not the law or the best settings. I don't know, but I see my jig and see my line, and that's pretty good. But you put those settings in there and get the right color that you like, that your eyes pick up well. Everybody's eyes are different, you know. So that's what I would suggest doing. I see people using all kinds of colors, the moss, and there's some brighter colors, but the blue I like. Let's see. Bud's asking, if you're running 3 lead batteries, how many lithium batteries would it take to replace them? You're running 3, you're going to run 3 lithiums, Bud. If you're running a 24-volt system on your trolling motor, you're going to need at least 250 amp hour lithiums and at least 100 to crank your boat and run your electronics. That's exactly what I'm running, 100 to 250s. Probably should have bought the 125 for my cranking batteries. Like I said, Bud, you're welcome to call me or message me, and I can tell you what I'm running, and I've been running for 6 months and have no trouble. So you're welcome to call me. What's Taylor saying? Do you have problems with your wireless foot pedal being too sensitive? Taylor, not my Garmin. It feels pretty good. It's got a blade in there. It looks like a brake rotor. I know it's got an Allen here where you can tighten it up. Mine's pretty stiff, and I've gotten used to it. I ran an old Edge on my little Express forever, and it wasn't the best trolling motor. I caught a lot of fish with that old thing, and then I bought a Fortrex, and it was nice, but there's adjustment in there. I don't have my foot pedal in here with me. It's in the boat, but there's a blade underneath the bottom of it that has an Allen wrench, and you can adjust that thing for sure. I'm trying to make sure. Bill Clark saying anything Garmin makes doesn't pull the amps their competitors do, best of my knowledge. I agree with you, Bill. I've enjoyed mine. Like I said, the good thing about crappie fishing, you know, there's so many different baits and lures and rods and trolling motors and graphs. And I got in a boat the other day that had a Lowrance graph, and I liked it. I mean, I caught fish with it, but I'm so used to the Garmin, it's hard for me to, you know, I wouldn't go buy a Lowrance, but if I already had the 12-inch screens, you know, already had the big screens, I would definitely buy their active target system. I'm not going to go buy another screen. And it's not that big a difference, but I enjoy my Garmin's for sure. Yeah, that's what Chad was saying. He's an all around. I ran the Ghost trolling motor. It's a slick trolling motor too. That and the Garmin, man, if you close your eyes, you probably can't tell the difference in them. But the Lowrance, the active target will catch fish. It's not as, to me, it's not as detailed as a Garmin. But, I mean, you know, Garmin's way ahead of the game. I'm curious what they're going to come out with here soon. I mean, there's no telling. Let's see what Charlie's saying here. What spray do you like to put on your lures? Charlie, I wish I had a picture of it. I use Potsky's, the fire gel. It's in a little old, like, looks like a port rind little jug, but it's fire gel. Looks like chapstick. It's I use a shad and a garlic, but it's easy to mess with. It's like Vaseline, but it's called fire gel. Potsky makes it. Hang on just a second, Charlie. I'll look it up on my phone, and because, man, I can't spell Potsky. Hang on just a second. Y'all bear with me, and I'll show you this Potsky fire gel. I don't know if you can see that or not. It's kind of bright. Let's see. Dadgummit. Let me screenshot it. Hang on there, Charlie. Bear with me. I'll screenshot it and send it to my phone. I'll send it to my iPad right here, and I'll put it on here. There we go. Hang on just a second. I'll show you what I use, Charlie. I don't mind at all. Hang on. There it is. I use this stuff a lot, guys. There it is right there. Potsky's fire gel. They make a, Charlie, they make a shad and a garlic, and I use the mess out of it. Everybody goes in the boat with me. I'll take me some and smear it on the, especially first thing in the morning until my jig starts smelling like fish. But that's another good tip. Eric Cagle got me turned on that. He's sponsored by them. I don't believe crappie can smell, but I think when they're chasing that jig, Charlie, when that jig comes by them and they start chasing it, and that scent goes through their gills, it may make them react better. I don't know, but if I can get advantage, I'm gonna try it. But that Potsky's fire gel, it's right there. That's a shad, and there's a garlic also, but it's like Vaseline. Just make sure you keep it in the shade because it will turn into a liquid. But it's good stuff, real good stuff. Yeah, Chad's making a comment. Every time you do that, garlic makes you want pizza. It does have a strong garlic smell. But I like the consistency of the Potsky fire gel. It's thicker. It stays on the bait, especially if your bait's got any little grooves or anything in it. I'm sitting here playing with this. Is from Limits Tackle. I bought these from Steve. Limits Tackle. That's a little split tail. I'm gonna catch some fish on it this weekend. You can bet your butt on it. It's a bad jig, strong, tough. Let's see what else we're going to. I'm gonna show you these settings again. There it is, in case somebody missed it. That's my live scope settings. Appreciate all 43 of y'all for tuning in. I know I've shared it several times, but you can message me. My phone number is posted right there too. So you get out there and hit the wrong button or hit factory default, or you're unsure about something, just call me and I'll answer. I'll call you back. I'm as long as you got my number, I'm going to get back to you. I promise you. Let's Terrell said it. I want to get a lithium battery, have a 12-volt Minn Kota. What size would you buy? I buy 100 amp at least if you're just going to run that 12-volt, Terrell. Just I buy 100 amp hour. If you're just going to buy one, I'd buy 100, at least minimum of 100 amp hour. That thing will run that 12-volt all day, buddy. Make sure you get the right charger for it. You know, like I said, you can message me or call me, but I would at least buy 100 amp for that, 100%. Smallest I would. No more live scope questions. Let's see. We've been on here 40 minutes. We might as well run this thing an hour, guys. Y'all got some more questions. I know y'all seen the settings. With those settings, I'll run that thing out. When I'm looking for some structure, I'll run my forward range out to 70 and 80. And I'm looking for any interference that comes in that. When I'm panning back and forth, I run mine on my trolling motor, obviously. I'm panning. And if I see something out there at 70 feet, I'm going to go to it and see if there's any fish on it. Running that thing on high, I cover some water. And looking for crappie. like I said, it sounds like I'm being a butt, but hey, you see a crappie and you think what's a crappie and you catch that crappie, then you know what a crappie looks like. Unless somebody physically shows you that, I try to break down because I myself, when I started out, guys, like I said earlier, I was throwing at every kind of fish that swam, thought everything was a crappie. All your big shad and gizzard shad and brim and everything. And it took a while. But I've learned a lot of it. I've got hundreds of hours behind that stinking screen now. So, and I tell people all the time, I'll make the comment, I'm not better than most any guys that watch this show or anybody everywhere. I just have more time behind it. It's just like anything else. Running a piece of equipment, welding, anything. Somebody that's got a lot of time behind something, as much as I spent behind it, of course I'm going to be more efficient than you are. I'm not going to say I'm going to be better than anybody. I'm not better than anybody at nothing, but I've got a lot of hours behind it, and I've caught a lot of fish using it. And I can tell you what not to do. I promise you that. I can tell you what not to do a lot of times. And I'm still learning a lot. I learn something every time out. And that's the beauty about crappie fishing. You can carry somebody out and they can show you things they do and ask you a question. You're like, hey, I really hadn't thought about that. And but I enjoy sharing all this information. Let's see what old Don's asking. He said, how deep can you see with live scope? Don, me and my boss man we went to Norfolk Lake in Arkansas about 2 years ago. We were catching crappie at 40 foot. And what I had to do, I had to put a weight above my jig to get it down there. But we were in forward mode now, not down scan. We were catching fish at 40 feet and in a brush pile on a point. So I know you can catch them at 40. You're waiting for a while to get down there, but you can catch them at 40 foot. I don't know how deep it actually go. I know I've heard Eric and him talk about Del Hollow last fall or early this spring. They were catching crappie at 45, 50 foot deep. So, it's, I know I've caught them 35. Do I like to fish that deep? Heck no. I ain't got, it takes a while to get down there, but I know you can catch them 35 foot on for sure. See you, Bud. Bud said he's got to go. Holler at me, Bud. Man, I appreciate everybody being on here. This is awesome. Yeah, Chad's, that's exactly right, Chad. You'll find stuff in the lake you never knew was there. I don't care how long you've been fishing. That's the truth. When the fish aren't biting or they're being aggravating, but you can drop that trolling motor, and as long as you got the batteries to cover some water, you'll find all kinds of stuff. Finding other people's brush, finding my brush. I mean, you can't hide anything. So it's, it's interesting. It's a great tool when you learn how to use it, man. It's an awesome thing. And somebody has told me, we got in a little discussion talking about it's going to hurt the fish population. I'll be honest with you, I catch less fish now using live scope than I did without it. Because before I would catch a fish and I would sit there and I'd leave and I had me a little milk run and I'd go back and forth till I caught, a lot of fish. And now I'm just moving on. So, it's not Bill Valentine asked me. I do some guiding, Bill. Buck's Guide Service. If you look it up, if you look on my Facebook page, Shane Jones Fishing, or my personal page, I guide about during weekends. I'm blessed to have a great job during the week, and I do that during the week, and I guide on the weekends, and I enjoy every bit of it. But I do. It's called Buck's Guide Service, buddy. Let's see what Philip Dodson. He wants to know what the price on the install of a 20-foot boat would be. Man, maybe somebody on here can help. I don't know what the going rate would be. $300-$400. I don't know, man. It's some work to it, Philip. But if somebody does it right and does it clean, it's worth the money, Philip. Especially a nice bass boat like you have, I would pay. But they said Chris Boyd does it. I know what kind. He's a great mechanic. I'm sure he does clean work. But I've installed a few of them, and it's something I don't particularly like to do, but I've always helped out a lot of people. So, but I would check with somebody, Philip. David Barnes. He said he's had live scope for 5 years now, And live scope only helps you know where the fish should be. Even that's exactly right. It won't make them bite, and I promise you, it will not make them bite. But yeah, I wish I had Chris's number. I'd post it in here for you guys. He's right there in Phillip. He is in Lakeview. But yeah, you're right, man. David's saying the live scope don't make you catch the fish, but it does help you keep from fishing dead water. I mean, years ago when spotlighting was legal, when I was a kid, you could shine a field. That's see deer. Same way with live scope. It lets you keep from fishing dead water. You look under a dock, or you look in a brush or a stump, and you don't see any fish. You just move on, man. But let's see what Bill's saying here. This will help you out, Philip. Bill Clark said Marina probably 800 to 1,000. Whoa. 400 or 500 if you're installing more grass for someone doing it on the side. I got you. I figure 400 or 500 is pretty reasonable. But I didn't know what the going rate is. I wouldn't know. But hey, if I had 3 or 4 graphs, I'd pay $500 in a heartbeat. I ain't gonna lie to you. Get somebody, and you get all the material and stuff, and they do a clean job. I'd pay them in a heartbeat, Bill. Kudos to you, buddy. Bill said he's over in Georgia. If anybody's close to him, he puts them in on the side. And I mean, I appreciate him sharing that with us. Let's see. Tad's asking me something. What amp fuse does the black box need to run on? I'm trying to remember what comes. It comes with a fuse on the power wire, Tad. I don't even know what size fuse it is, to be honest with you. It's not a lot. It's not a big fuse. I'll have to actually look that up, to be honest with you. But it has one on the power wire. When you wire that thing to your black box and you wind the power to your screen, they both have fuses on it. Let's see. Make sure I ain't missed no questions, man. I appreciate everybody tuning in here. Again, I'm going to post it right here. There's my live scope settings. Take a screenshot. Or, like I said, message me. My phone number's right there. That's the settings I use on my live scope. I appreciate all 40-something of y'all being on here. We've almost went an hour listening to me blab. I appreciate y'all. Trying to make sure I hadn't missed any questions. I hate to. I hope everybody's doing good, man. It's a Monday night. I know it's one day closer to the weekend for you guys that fish the weekends like myself. Let's see. Corey's asking, how about the ground wire? I always see back and forth about whether or not to use it. Corey, I haven't used it. I don't know anybody's got a ground wire on theirs. I mean, you got a ground, you got a ground on your batteries back there. Like I said, I run a breaker on mine, a breaker switch where I can cut the power off. So I don't know. I haven't used a ground. I don't know if it does. So obviously it don't hurt it because I've been running mine since 2019 without a ground on it. So I may be doing it wrong. I'm not sure, but I ain't had any trouble with it. But that is a good point. I've heard of people saying that. Let's see what Cornell Boyd's asked. Can I sleep my transducer and fool my settings out of the water? Yes. Look, Cornell, when you pull your trolling motor out of the water, hit the power button, click it one time, and it's going to say, what does it say? Disable the transducer. Says disable sonar. Click on that, and it cuts the power off to your sonar. Then you go back. When you get to where you're going, you're going to put the trolling motor back in, hit the button again, and enable it. It says enable and disable. But Cornell, you can put those settings. You turn it on, you can let it run. It's not going to run hot this time of year, but you need to cut that transducer off when you're running up and down the river. Like I said, hit the power button. You click it. It says disable sonar, and that keeps it from pinging. It cuts it off so it doesn't run hot when you're running down the river. But Cornell, you can put all those settings that I'm posting in there. You can go out there and turn it on in the yard right now and put them right in it. And you'll notice when you put them in there, Cornell, that it looks like it's snowing, and that means that thing is right. When it looks like it's snowing, when it's out of the water, that thing's tuned in. You're gonna see a lot of difference when you put those settings in. Corey's got a point too. You could press the pause too. I just cut mine off. Like I said, I just disable it. I know it's off then. But you can hit the pause button too. I'm not sure if it cuts. I know it disabled. It cuts the power off to it. Because I've had that thing run hot running up and down the river. Because I fish all summer. You know, June, July, August is my favorite time to fish. So Chad's saying somebody was asking about it's a 7.5 ounce fuse. Chad's saying so that's what size fuse it is. Somebody was asking earlier. I don't know who was even asking me. I think it was Tad. Yeah, Tad was. There you go, Tad. It's a 7.5. I knew it wasn't that big. I knew it wasn't for sure. You think Terrell, do you think the fish will get weary of the pings from the unit? Terrell, I think the bigger fish can feel those pings from that transducer. And I will tell you a tip that I do. If I see a big fish out in open water on something, until I cast on him, I'm going to keep it off of him. Only time I'm going to have that thing pinging on him, Terrell, is when I'm fixing to throw at him. So if I see a big 2-pound fish in open water on a brush pile, and I know it's an individual fish, I keep it off of him until I get up there, 30 feet when I'm going to cast on him. Because I believe they feel more because there's more, it's more feedback. It's more, coming off the transducer. So I do believe that the big fish actually, they do feel that pings for sure. But I believe that, but I don't keep it on those fish the whole time I'm running at them. I kind of keep it off of them. I mean, I don't want them to let them know I'm there. I'm trying to catch them. So let's see here. But yeah, Terrell, I think it's fine right now, and they're gonna get educated just like anything else, man. You get a lot of people that use long rods and the water's clear and they're not very stealthy. Those fish can see that shade of that boat coming, and they'll know. You go to Grenada, those fish they'll be in those stake beds, and that big crappie be sitting there, and you get close to them, you'll see them run out the back door. So that's why I try to cast to them as much as I can. But I think they're getting wary. For sure. They it's like anything else. I think they can feel that ping for sure off the live scope. Man, I appreciate a lot of everybody tuning in, man. This is fun. I love talking about this stuff, as y'all can tell. I love sharing too. I love getting pictures of people catching crappie and say, hey man, I watched the show and got a tip from you or John or Jessica or somebody commenting on here, and man, it's awesome. I like to see success stories and people, say, hey, my wife wanted some fish and I went out and caught me 30 and cleaned them and ate them. And, I enjoy that, man. I mean, that is the absolute truth. I like doing this stuff. I like helping people. And, and this is something I have a lot of time behind. So, I'm familiar with it. Am I the best at it? Heck no. But I do like doing this. Let's see. Crappie Wayne, when you cast to him, are you using a floater? No, Crappie Wayne, I'm not using a cork. I mean, some people do. I don't. I will tell you a tip, and everybody that fishes with me learns this. When you throw at these fish, leave your bail open. Let that jig fall straight down. Everybody throws and clicks it, and what happens? That bait starts swinging back to the boat, and you're not getting down in the cover. Leave your bail open until that bait drops down in the cover, then walk that bait through it. Everybody throws, and first thing I want to do is click it like they're casting on the bank. Leave your bail open. Let the jig go straight down in the cover. Do not click that bait, because when you click that bait starts swinging right back to the boat instead of going straight down and then getting the cover. Say, for instance, right here's the cover I want to get in. When that jig hits, and if you click it, it's just going to do like this. And you miss the fish unless a hot fish is sitting on top. Me, I'm going to leave my bail open, drop straight down in there, walk it through the cover. Never quit moving it, and then get that thump. I get a reaction bite for sure. That's what I do. Crappie Wayne, that's just the way I fish. I'm not saying it's the best way either, but that's the way I do it. Whitey Outlaw says he thinks we are training fish not to bite from the ping of the transducer. What do you think, Shane? I don't know, buddy. Whitey Outlaw said that live scope would never, do away with trolling too. So you see where that spider rigging went. But, if I'm in shallow water, Chad, I'm going to turn my hummingbird off. If I'm fishing 5 foot or less, I'm going to turn my hummingbird, my big 15 inch, I'm going to turn that thing off. I'm going to try to turn some stuff off that's pinging. I don't want to, I don't want all that racket, but I'm not sure, buddy. Like I said, there's a lot of people catch a lot of fish with live scope. But like I said, if you got 3 units running, you go in 5 foot of water, Chad, you want to cut some of that off. You don't need you don't need side scan in 5 foot of water. So, I'd cut that off. And plus, if I'm fishing a brush top and I know it's loaded, I may cut my live scope off. I've seen them in there now. All I got to do is, work the pile. But let's see him. Sonny's asking me what kind of washers can you make yours. Sonny, you're welcome to message me, man. I'll tell you, I put some rubber in between mine. I didn't buy 0 degree. I have a maintenance background, so I just rigged mine up and put some rubber to make mine go from 8 degrees to, pretty much 0. But message me later, buddy, and I'll show you that. Crappie Wayne wants to know if I'm in muddy water. I fish a lot of stained water. It's getting clearer, though, Crappie Wayne, to be honest with you. I don't fish a lot of super muddy water, but I cast them as much as I can. That's just the preferred way I like to catch them. Chad's saying the live well pump. The live well pump does spook fish. It does. I believe it. But the good news is where I fish, Chad, you got gar, a lot of spoonbill. You got big yellow cats, flatheads. They're all trying to eat crappie that's any size. So they don't move from that cover much, in these river systems I fish. These lake systems may be different, but hey, they're not running around and too spooked. So you can actually pull the bait. If you hang your bait and snap it, and those fish go right back to the cover. They know there's a big gar or a flathead, something coming in there to eat them. So Greg's asking me, Greg Steindale, do you drop shot fish? I mean, I don't. I'm not saying it wouldn't work, especially deeper. I put a split shot above my jig a lot, Greg, just to get it down there, especially if a lot of times I run, here I'll go on share a tip too. These fish that come up and just barely kiss your bait, and I'll show you with this jig. I don't mind sharing with you, Greg. That's a 16th ounce jig. And that fish will come up behind it, and he's going to do his little suck job where they suck that bait. If he don't suck too hard or try to hit it, he's barely going to touch it, and you'll get a short strike. So what I do, I'll tie a 30-second jig, and I'll downsize my bait. I'll tie a 30-second, I'll put a split shot above it to get it down to him. When you downsize a bait, that little bait, you see the difference between those two baits right there. I downsize that bait to 30-second, put me a split shot above it right there about where my finger is. And when that fish comes up to kiss that bait, when he does that, it's going to hit him in the back of his throat. And that's a little tip, especially with black fish that act finicky. You can downsize. I always keep you a 30-second and a split shot, especially unless you're fishing shallow water, bud. I would, Greg, but a drop shot will work. I just think I like to walk my bait through it. So, but yeah, I would downsize you to 30-second. If you look I do some in some of my YouTube videos a little bit, but I would definitely have me a rod with a 30-second on there, bud. And like I said, Greg, I would downsize your bait to 30-second, a little small bait. And when they're short striking, but drop shotting, if everybody don't know, it's the weight's on the bottom and your jig's on your line just like this. It's like this, the weight's here. And then you're bouncing it. Now, a lot of them old timers bottom bounce minnows. You'll see the weight on the bottom and the minnow be sitting up top. But he's talking about where your jig's up top like that and the weight's on the bottom. And you jigging it like they do a lot of smallmouth fishing. But see, I'll be honest with you, Greg, all the crappie I catch, your bait's got to be moving. It's not, you can dead stick it and float it through them, but it's still moving. And that's how I catch a lot of fish when that bait's still moving. I don't stop a bait a lot. Sometimes you'll a lot of these guys with these long rods, a dead stick of bait on front of them, and they catch fish the same way. I don't have to do that a lot, thank God. But like I said, I do it a bunch. But yeah, Greg, I'll try it. I'll try to rig a drop shot. I caught some fish below the dam, and those fish are used to current, so don't come off the bottom much. And I actually talked about doing a drop shot there, Greg, and I'll probably do it. You know, like I said, I think you catch plenty of fish doing it. You need to have that in your arsenal for sure, you know. But if you're having trouble with them short striking, like I said, downsize that bait, man. You got a bunch of fry coming. You got a shad spawn as we speak right now. I mean, there's a shad spawn right now. So you're going to have a bunch of little fry running around. And, I mean, he sent me some baits. I don't know if you can see how tiny them things are. That is little bitty. I'm going to try them with some brim. But those little baits are tiny. Man, we've been on here an hour, man. There's 46 still people listening to me. That's awesome. But that bait is little. You see that little bait? That is tiny, tiny. I'll be throwing that come July and August and September here soon. I sure will. And I appreciate all you tuning in. Make sure, yeah, Kevin Hicks is saying right there, he had a downsize at Mitchell. They fished a tournament. I believe it. Those stubborn fish down there, man. I think y'all placed pretty good, man. Congratulations to everybody that won. And looked like y'all had a good time. I was kind of jealous of all y'all eating good down there. Man, I appreciate everybody being on here. We've been on here an hour. Again, looky here, guys. My live scope settings right here. I'm going to leave that right there. I posted on here several times during the video. That's what I'm running. You're welcome to call me if you have any questions or anything. I appreciate it. I want to thank my sponsors again. I mean, I got some guys that helped me do this big time. Of course, Alpha Plumbing behind me. D. Robertson, he's a big sponsor of mine. Mr. Tommy Layton, Alabama Metal Roofing Supply, great sponsor. CT Ward Power Sports, great sponsor of mine. And Mr. Ray Morris, he's got an Airbnb sunset cabin down there on Lay Lake. You want to go down there and spend a weekend down there and go catch some crappie or just a weekend getaways. You can't get a hotel cheap as he can do that. I appreciate all them sponsors. Well, I'll be going into detail more on the sponsors come Thursday, but I just wanted to put together a little show just to help people, man, because a lot of people they're unsure about what they're doing, and you know, and a lot of people. I'm not going to say a lot of people are snide about trying to help people, but I'm not one of those people. John's not one of those people. None of my friends are one of those people that I hang around. If I can help you catch more fish and help you in any way, you call me, message me, or whatever, and I'll get to you, man. I appreciate all y'all for tuning in. Lamar Bunny's going to be on here Thursday. He is one of the best long rodder in the country right now. Super nice guy, Louisiana. He just finished second in the National Crappie League. He's going to be on here Thursday. I talked to him earlier. I'll make a video announcing that here later on this week. Thank all y'all. I appreciate it. And we're going to do it again as long as I'm still kicking. I appreciate y'all tuning in. We're going to end this broadcast. And like I said, there's my live scope settings. There's my phone number. You guys are welcome to call, ask me any questions. Send me pictures. I like to see success stories, man. I appreciate y'all guys. We're going to blow this thing up, man, right here in Alabama and help everybody we can in the South here because we're trying to have a good time, and I want everybody to catch a lot of crappie. I promise you. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all.